The Darkblade clan had come to Sera for a hunt, but what they found was a war. The Locust Horde was not merely prey, they were an unrelenting force of destruction, driven by the will of their queen. The predators had underestimated their enemy, and now they were trapped in a world where death lurked in every shadow. The skies above Sera were filled with smoke and ash, the surface littered with the remnants of battle. The ruins of human civilization stood as silent witnesses to the carnage, their crumbling structures providing both refuge and danger. The 5 surviving Darkblade warriors took a moment to assess their situation. Their armor was battered, their energy reserves were dwindling, and their supply of plasma weaponry was nearly depleted. They had to adapt. They had to become something more than hunters. They had to become warriors in a war unlike any they had faced before. The Locusts were now in pursuit. Wretches skittered across the rubble-strewn streets, sniffing the air for their quarry, while Theron guards, their crimson helmets gleaming under the dim sunlight, prowled through the ruins. The Queen had commanded that the intruders be found and eliminated. No one had ever dared to challenge the might of the Locust Horde and lived to tell the tale. The predators knew they had to move. Using their superior agility, they leapt from one ruined building to another, keeping themselves out of sight. Their cloaking devices flickered with instability. Too much damage had been sustained for them to remain invisible indefinitely. It was now a game of patience and precision. One predator, a veteran warrior known as Varcon, silently motioned to his brethren. They had to set a trap. He activated a small panel on his wrist, and in seconds, energy mines were deployed along the rubble-laden streets. As the Locust forces drew near, the mines detonated with devastating force, vaporizing wretches and sending chunks of drone bodies flying in all directions. The Clan took advantage of the chaos, descending upon the remaining Theron guards with savage efficiency. Wristblades slashed through armor, plasma casters erupted in bursts of searing energy, and in mere moments the once powerful Locust patrol was reduced to smoldering corpses. But the Queen was watching, and she was not pleased. Deep within the war-torn ruins, the Locust Queen stood upon a throne of bones, her piercing gaze fixed upon the reports from her warrior. These new invaders were unlike the humans. They were more than soldiers. They were hunters, savages armed with weapons beyond her comprehension, and they had dared to spill Locust blood upon her domain. With a motion of her hand, she summoned her most elite enforcers, the Palace Guards. Towering, monstrous Locust warriors clad in impenetrable armor, wielding deadly cleavers. Alongside them, she dispatched the Cantus priests, their dark chants filling the air as they prepared their terrifying battle cries. The hunt for the hunters had begun. The Darkblade clan pressed forward, deeper into the shattered landscape, attempting to find a vantage point from which to strike a decisive blow against the Locust command structure. But the war-torn streets were an unforgiving battlefield, designed to favor the Horde. Then came the ambush. The Palace Guards attacked first, their massive cleavers slamming down with enough force to split concrete. The predators dodged with inhuman speed, countering with plasma blasts that barely dented their thick armor. One predator was caught off guard. A devastating swing severed his arm at the shoulder, and before he could react, a second cleaver cut him down. The Locusts roared in triumph. Fury overtook the remaining predators. They fought with relentless aggression, deploying their last thermal detonators, igniting the ruins in a blinding explosion. The Palace Guards fell, their charred bodies collapsing amidst the firestorm. But the battle had cost them dearly. Another warrior lay dead, his mask shattered, his body broken. The remaining 3 predators exchanged grim glances. They were running out of time. Pushing further across the ruined cityscape, the predators finally reached a massive Locust stronghold, one of the primary birthing pits where the Horde bred its monstrous warriors. Thousands of eggs pulsed within the massive chamber, the lifeblood of the Horde's endless army. If they could destroy this place, they could deal a critical blow to the Queen's forces. Setting up their final charge, the predators worked quickly, planting thermal explosives throughout the area. But before they could finish, the Locust Queen herself arrived. She was a towering figure, her presence commanding absolute fear. Flanked by the last of her palace guards and a wave of berserkers, she unleashed a deafening scream that rattled the battlefield. The predators knew there was no running now. The battle was savage. Plasma blasts tore through the air, berserkers charged with bone-crushing force, and the queen herself engaged in direct combat. One predator was grabbed mid-air and hurled into a wrecked vehicle, his bones snapping on impact. Another was surrounded and overwhelmed, disappearing beneath the Locust Horde. Only Varcon remained. Bloodied but unbroken, he faced the queen in single combat. She swung her massive clawed hand, but Varcon dodged with the precision of a master. Activating his plasma spear, he struck, slicing into the queen's side. She roared in fury, retaliating with a forceful backhand that sent him crashing into the birthing pits below. With his last ounce of strength, Varcon activated the detonation device on his wrist. The queen's eyes widened as the realization struck her. The surface of Sera erupted in an earth-shattering explosion, the force of the blast sending shockwaves across the ruined city. The Locust Queen, her breeding grounds, and the countless eggs were consumed in fire and destruction. The stronghold collapsed, burying the horrors of the Horde beneath rubble and flame. Far above, on a ruined skyscraper, the lone surviving predator watched as the ground trembled. He had lost his clan, his brothers, but the hunt had been completed. With one final glance at the battlefield, Varcon activated his ship's beacon. As he ascended into the stars, the Locust stronghold smoldered behind him. The Horde dealt a crippling blow. But he knew it was not over. The queen may have perished, but the Horde would return. And so would he. Deep within the remnants of the stronghold, something stirred. Amongst the ruins and ash, a single voice echoed. A guttural, enraged sound that rumbled through the darkness. The Locust Horde had suffered a great loss, but they were far from extinct, and in the void where their queen once ruled, something new was awakening. Varcon's war was far from over.